Y'all, I'm Will Guevara, and today I'm pitching my card game, Royal Kitchen Joseon. The game is 2 to 4 players, lasts around 45 minutes, and is suitable for ages 12 and up. My game is inspired by Joseon era K dramas like Jewel in the Palace, Bon Appetit, Your Majesty, and Mr. Queen. A large portion of diplomacy and politics, dramatized through the shows, depended on being able to create delicious meals, outcook and outmaneuver rivals, and winning the favor of those in power. My intention with this game is to bring that feeling to life through strategic influence onto your own and your opponent's kitchens. The game is also meant to double as an immersion of history and culture through vibrant Joseon era style art. So, with our game set in Joseon era Korea, our players are placed right in the royal kitchen with the goal of becoming the head chef. However, being the best chef doesn't just mean cooking the best dishes, it means persevering against rivals through steady action and reaction that fuels competition. To introduce the main four decks in the game, you have resources, dishes, diplomats, and effects. These cards will be used throughout the game's 12 rounds, which are modeled after the 12 months of the year. Every round, players are given resources based on the season. More on this later. Each player will get a turn before moving to the next round, and once the 12 rounds are up, the game ends. Throughout the game, players will use their resources to cook dishes. The main way to accumulate points is to cook dishes, as all of the dishes have point values. I will show this a little bit later as well. The players with the most points at the end of the game will be the winner. But as mentioned earlier, it's not just about cooking, but about persevering through obstacles. Every turn, players must attempt to win the favor of a diplomat through a d20 dice roll. If you miss the needed value, players will experience their first obstacle through consequences. Again, a little bit more on this later. Lastly, our game's main expression of rivalry comes through effects. Players must play an effect every turn, which can help yourself or sabotage your opponents. Let's take a closer look at our cards before we simulate a round. Our resources are made up of vegetables, meats, pantry items, and grains. These are color coded. We'll use these resources to cook dishes, and there are about 20 different types. You'll see each dish has a cost, again, associated to the vegetables, meats, pantry items, and grains, and these are color coded respectively. You will also see point values on these cards, which are associated to the dish itself and its cost. Essentially, there's three types of dishes. Our smaller banchan dishes are always worth 3 points, and they cost a mix of 8 resources. Our main dishes are going to be worth 5 points, and those will cost around 10 resources. And finally, communal dishes, our biggest dishes, are going to be worth 8 points, and these will cost a mix of 12 resources. A single diplomat is placed on a player's field at the start of their turn. That player must roll a d20 die equal or greater than a designated roll value, just kind of what I mentioned earlier. If the roll value is not met, this kicks off a player's turn with a consequence, such as having to lose cards or having a higher cost for dishes during their turn. Last but not least, players' main combat is expressed through effect cards. So you will draw an effect card after addressing a diplomat's favor, and then you are required to play one effect card with immediate action. While it's uncommon, some effects will require players to also roll a d20 die, which may be familiarly called a saving throw. Sometimes the effects bolster your resources. They may give you access to points or visibility into your opponent's hand. Other times, the effects are there to directly sabotage your opponents. But be careful, not only will your opponents remember your actions, but they will respond in kind. Players will be able to react to any action against them, and I'll showcase that shortly as well. So let's quickly set up the field for 2 players. Although the format does allow for 4, we'll start with 2. Every round, players will be given their resources. Any resources used, they're simply going to go back to their respective resource deck. Each player will then receive 3 dishes to spend against their resources. This is called a dish line, and this will replenish from the deck at the end of each individual turn. Cooked dishes simply go into the respective discard pile. While this has set up the overall game so far, a player's actual turn starts when they receive a diplomat. whose favor they must roll for. Remember, there could be consequences if you miss your roll. Once you've addressed the diplomat's favor, players will then draw effect cards to be set up as a reaction and use to bolster themselves or sabotage their opponents. Effect cards are essentially the only ones that remain out of other players' view. Players will essentially keep these in hand. So to summarize, you are given resources to use. You will then roll for a diplomat's favor. You then draw effect cards to use and have ready for reaction in the future. And finally, you gain points by cooking dishes with your resources. The player with the most points at the end of the game wins. Thank you very much.